So I'd like to welcome you all. This is the third installment, the final installment of Resistance Training for Runners, the Run Club webinar series. So today we're going to be talking about cool down. So if you remember back to our first one, we talked about warm up or proper warm up. Last month, we talked about the actual exercise, or we introduced an exercise program that you could actually start doing and incorporating into your regular run routine. And today we're going to talk about cool down. So we're going to wrap everything up. All right, so right off the bat, cool down is one of the most overlooked portions of the workout. And you actually do have to think of it that way, as it's a part of the workout. Just like the warm up is part of the workout, lifting weights is part of the workout, and going for a run is part of the workout. The cool down is also a part of the workout, so you can't skip it. It's a very important part also. One of the biggest benefits of doing proper cool down is it speeds up the recovery process. So once you get done with your workout, if you cool down properly, your body's going to be better prepared for the next day. When your next workout comes around, your muscles will be rested, relaxed, hopefully recovered, so that they'll work more efficiently during your next workout. Without the cool down, you show up to that next workout with unrecovered muscles, and the potential for injury is greatly increased. Another huge advantage of the cool down is your muscles are already prepped. They're already warmed up. They're already in their elastic state. They're easy to stretch. And so the cool down is the optimal time to perform those static stretches. You remember back to the warm up, we avoided static stretches. We were doing dynamic movements to get the muscles ready to operate. Now is an excellent time to perform static stretches when the muscle's in the elastic state. This allows for a greater range of motion through the joints, and it will keep the muscles relaxed for the rest of the day. And again, that just aids in the recovery process. So with that being said, let's talk about the actual movements. Now, today's movements are going to be used, they can be used after resistance training or after a run. The way I've got it set up is designed for both. The movements today are designed specifically to follow the strength training portion or the resistance training that we did last month. So now you've got a resistance training program you can follow and a cool down to do right after it. This cool down will also work for post running, and I'll explain that at the very end. There's a slight modification you have to make, but that's it. So today, since this is part 3 in the resistance training series, we're going to talk first about the resistance training cool down. So the first thing you want to do, as soon as you're done lifting weights or plyometric, whatever you have to be doing for resistance training day, the first thing you want to do is get blood circulating through your entire body. Easiest way to do that is to jump on like an elliptical, something where you're using legs and arms. Now, the one thing you don't want to do is elevate your heart rate. So you're going to be going at a very slow pace. Whatever settings are on it, you want it on the lowest setting. You don't want to elevate that heart rate over 100 beats per minute. And the sole purpose is just to get the blood circulating through the body, get the blood to all the muscles, because your blood's going to be shunted to whatever muscle group you're working last during the resistance training. So to make sure it fully saturates your entire body, you want to do some type of full body, low level, extremely low level cardio just for a few minutes. So after you've done that, I like to do my cool down on the floor. Specific reason for that is because there's much less work on the heart, making sure, again, the blood is circulating through the body. It doesn't have to fight gravity the entire time. And so I like to do a lot of it on the floor, and we're going to start out on the floor today. The first movement is for me, it's primarily a glute stretch. So to really loosen up the glute, it's called a figure 4. I'm sure there's another technical term for it, but that's just what I call it. So you're going to start out lying on your back, and then you're going to take one leg, roughly 90-degree angles as far as your knee bend, maybe a little bit more. You're going to take one leg up, cross the ankle over the opposite knee, and from here you're going to reach your hand through you just formed the figure 4. You're going to reach through the opening in the floor, and you're going to grasp that knee either on top or below, and then lean back, and you get a nice big glute stretch here. You're going to hold all these stretches for around 10 to 15 seconds. Then you can reset, stretch again, and try to get a little bit deeper on the second stretch. And then, of course, you'll switch sides and do the same thing. So that's the first stretch I start with. Again, it's called the figure 4. From there, since I work my glute, now I'm going to move into my hamstring area. So I'm just going to do a single leg hamstring. There's 2 ways to do this. You can do the classic hurdler stretch, put the other leg back, concentrate on the leg that's straight out in front of you, and just lean towards that toe, and you'll feel a big pull through the hamstring. Or what I like to do, is I pull that bottom of the foot right up against the inner thigh of the other leg. This way I can push down and open up my hip at the same time I'm reaching forward and stretching the hamstring. Same thing, 10 to 15 seconds, reset, go for a deeper stretch. If you can only reach your shin, that's fine. That's your starting point. Next time, go for your ankle. So you're going to adjust the amount of the stretch based on your range of motion and your ability. So that's number 2, the single leg hamstring stretch. Now we're going to get up into a half kneeling position. And for this one, it requires a little bit of balance. So I've got the box here that I can use to aid me in that. You're going to reach back to that back foot, grasp the instep, and pull forward. Now, this position, I'm stretching my quad, but we want to get more than that. So I'm going to push my hips forward. And now I'm stretching my hip flexor, my quad, and up into my abs as well. So, and that's a common mistake with this stretch. You'll see a lot of people stopping right here. Push those hips forward, elongate the front of that body. So this is a half kneeling quad stretch. And it's got various names as well, but if you look it up under half kneeling quad stretch, you'll find many examples of it. Okay, so since we're in the half kneeling position, now we're going to go into our calves. Notice how we're working from the waist down, actually. I'll switch legs for this one. So this is a half kneeling calf stretch. So again, from this position, all we're doing is putting weight on top of the knee and pushing forward. The key here is keeping that heel on the ground. And we're sliding the hips down, pushing that knee forward, and we're getting a nice big stretch through the calf. You don't want that heel to come off the ground. Same thing, 10 to 15 seconds, reset. See if you can get a little bit deeper on the second one. And then relax there. So far we've been doing left, right, all the way through. This one is just going to be a total body stretch. For you people that do yoga, it's I believe called the Cobra pose. So for this, we're going to lie down flat. And then keeping our lower body on the ground, we're just pushing up. And this will get a stretch again up through your hip flexors, your abdominals, even up to your chest. You want to roll your shoulders back and open up the chest in this position. Reset. Do that one again. And again, this is going to open up your entire interior or front of your body. And then we're going to move into our thoracic rotation. Your thoracic is referring to your upper spine, or your mid spine actually, in between your neck and your low back. And so we're going to get some good rotation through that. So what we're going to do today, we're going to get a nice wide stance with your knees. You get to that all fours position. You're going to take one hand, so you're going to rotate in between your arm and your knee, and then you're going to drop this shoulder to the ground. So you want to sink all the way down with it, twisting through your shoulders. And that's it right there. So this is pretty easy. Dropping down requires, it's going to feel, you're going to feel a lot more rotation through that upper back. And then we have one more stretch to do. If you've ever been to my stretch breaks, I do this quite a bit. It's a really simple stretch, and it's one of my favorites, just the cross body stretch. We're going to take that one arm across your body to the opposite shoulder. The other hand, you're going to bring up the forearm behind the elbow. You're going to pull in, and you push out with that first arm at the same time. So you're going to force on force. Good for opening that shoulder up. And that's it. Those are 7 stretches to do. So you'll have this video for reference. If any of you needs coaching or even a flyer with this listed on them, get in contact with any of your coaches. We'll be able to send that out to you. But just those 7 movements, that should basically open up all the joints in your body and all the muscle groups that, again, you use during the resistance training we talked about last month or for a run. That's going to open all those up and give you, start you on the road to recovery. Now, one thing that you have to do, this is the first stage, cool down is the first stage of recovery. So what you have to plan next is moving into foam rolling. We're not going to do that today. We've got plenty of videos on our YouTube channel that do cover foam rolling for further recovery. Or it doesn't have to be foam rolling, it could be trigger point. If you have acupoint balls, if you have lacrosse balls, massage sticks, massage gun, whatever you have. Again, coaches can help you with that as well. So I did promise to talk about post running also. You can use the same cool down post running. The only difference is after you get done with a run, you're probably not going to have an elliptical machine to jump onto. So the big mistake that most people make, I've been, I've done this myself, is at the end of the run, you just stop. That's possibly one of the worst things you can do. It's very traumatic on the body. It can cause lightheadedness, and people have been known to pass out after intense exercise just coming to a stop. I'm not going to get into the physiology of that, but what you do want to do is at the end of the run, slow down to a jog. Light jog, you can even jog in place. You want to keep the blood pumping through the body and allow your heart to get back to its normal beats per minute on its own. So you don't want to just stop and try to force it to slow down. Just slow down. Again, start jogging just a few minutes, slow down into a walk. Your heart rate is going to regulate, and you're going to be fine. Once your heart has regulated, I know I'm talking about if you've been running at 140 BPM, basically once you get down below 100, that's a pretty good indicator that, okay, you're pretty much back to normal. You're getting close to normal. So at that point in time, one big thing that you see a lot of runners do, they'll lie on their back and put their feet in the air. So, and if you ask 10 different runners why they do this, you'll get 10 different answers. But there is actually two extremely good reasons. Number one is, it feels good. But more importantly, number two, this prevents inflammation. While you're running, inflammation will happen in the lower body. Your lower body is receiving blunt force trauma basically with every single step, and inflammation will occur to some degree. You might just have like a little bit around your ankles or something like that, or you might have what's referred to as cankles, where you can't tell the difference between your calf and your ankle. Like if you lie down on your back, elevate your feet. Again, the blood flow release and everything will cause that inflammation to go down within a matter of minutes. So good thing to do. Another thing that reduces inflammation is going to be a different webinar on itself. It is compression clothing, but we're not going to get into that right now. So after the run, do your run walk for about 5 minutes, allow your heart rate to regulate, lie on the ground for a few minutes, elevate the feet, use a tree, a telephone pole, your car, whatever you happen to have nearby. And then you're going to go into the movements that we just did above. You're going to run through all those movements, and you're going to do all this before you get in your car and drive home. If you have to drive somewhere to run, as soon as you get done, make sure you do your cool down before getting into that car. As soon as you get into the car and sit down, you're locking your muscles into a contracted position. And that's the last thing you want to do, because like I said, they're warmed up, if they're elastic, this is when we want to stretch them out. So yeah, you're going to drive home, and then again, you're going to plan sometime later that evening to foam roll. Another 20 minutes foam rolling, and doing all that after every single workout is going to set you up for success for your next workout. All right, so that's pretty much all I have today on cool down. So with that being said, again, thank you for joining, and we will see you next time. Adios.